Boom! We're live.
Made it.
ZLS 021. We've got Frosty here in studio with us. Frosty, what's up?
Nothing, man. Just trying to get some work done.
Nice, man. Nice, man.
Trying to take care of that family.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, dude, you've got a whole bunch of accolades you're bringing to the table. Do you want to give us a brief history of Aaron Frost?
Chronically?
It's up to you, man. You can go chronological. You can go importance. Your pick.
So, most important is I'm a dad and a husband, and I'm an ice fisherman. So, those are the two probably most important things you need to know about me. After that, fisherman? Oh yeah, dude, come on, I love it.
Like you're sawing holes in the ice and fishing in there.
Yes. Dang. Catch the fish, give it a little bit of, get some pics, and put it right back. Nice. See you next year, fish. So yeah,
man, just imagine what kind of story fish could tell to his fish friends after that. It's like aliens. Aliens got me.
This big crazy dude just about killed me.
Outsmarted him though.
Yeah. He's too dumb. He put me back. Nah. Anyway, so yeah. I'm all about the ice fishing. Anyway, I've been programming for a while. I actually started programming in QA, which was fun. Starting as a tester, it taught me to never trust developers, and I never lost that belief. You know, I've always believed that for certain tasks, developers are the dumbest people in the building, and I'll never let go, Jack.
Yeah,
I'll never let go. Anyway, so you've got so there, and then I got into Angular about 2012-ish, and got a big org moving towards. Yeah, I got a big org moving towards it in 2013, and then, dude, a couple of friends and I, we just accidentally planned the biggest Angular conference in the world one day, so we made NgConf.
Yeah,
and then we friggin' I got nominated to be an Angular GDE, and I mean, just silly accolades that like just came along quick and accidentally.
You were telling me before the show you were the OG GDE. Is that right?
So like it's all depends on how you like. So Matthias was the OG GDE, but then he joined the Angular team, and so then there was just me that was the GDE, the Angular GDE. But then Matthias still snuck by on the GDE list for like a while. They didn't groom back then, so like they let this Googler kid also be GDE. So Matthias was technically like the pioneer of the Angular GDE, right? And with good reason, obviously. And so anyway, other than Matthias though, I was the next one in there and kind of held that in. So but it was fun. So yeah, kind of watched all the other GDEs come in and grow and teach us all how to, kind of get better. So yeah. Awesome, I remember anyway. So yeah, there's the GDE program. Started a gig a few years ago called HeroDevs, which has been a lot of fun, growing. It's expert level consulting type thing. Yeah. And about a year ago, brainstormed the idea of Scully with Steven on the Angular team, and they kicked in a little bit of funding to say, hey, if you'll do it, you get a little bit of funding. So we hurried and did it. And so then Scully now is a thing, which is what we're going to talk about today. And then at about the same time, I was working with some of the fellows that are supporting Angularjs, and so we formed a group called XLTS, and we're going to have an extended LTS support for Angularjs. So once
that's extra long-term support, is that
extended long-term support?
Extended. Got it.
Yeah. So after Angularjs is end of life next December, not this coming December, but next. So December 2021. Man. Yeah, I know. So so a lot of people still have tons left though. And so if you need help, you call people like HeroDevs. There's Narwhals. There's a lot of really smart people out there because it's going to end. The runway for Angularjs is run out. But once you get there, you got XLTS. For multiple reasons, you're going to want to look it out, check it out. So it's xlts.dev is the website there. So yeah, there's kind of a lot of stuff going on there. And oh yeah, I said I'm a dad. I have 5 kids, so just to make stuff way more complicated. The only person who's gonna get how horrible that actually is you, because you have 6.
I have 6.
You're
I
one of
have
the few
6 and
people
1
that's gonna get
grandchild.
it. Yeah,
So
you're the few that will get it.
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, man.
Jay Allen says the beard's coming in nicely. I think he's at C1 with us there. So
Yeah,
that's
he
good,
is.
man.
Yeah, Josh is at Cap 1 with us.
Cool. Yeah. So Frosty and I. So Frosty's coming in through HeroDevs. I'm coming from Narwhal. We're both on the same team right now. That's kind of how we got to know each other. So
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, I've got this ZLS. You want in? And there we go. I'm trying to make you some content for Skully here too. But it's, man, making videos is tough. I thought it would just be like boom boom.
It's not as easy as it should be, right?
It's not.
No, it's not.
I'm still learning everything as I go, so I'm hoping I can get a little bit faster, but still, it seems like there's some hard stop on productivity you can do with video editing.
100%. Some people are really good at it. I'm not. It's not me. It's not my bag.
Yeah, I feel like I could be. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I'm trying to raid your channel. Not that it will help, but
do it, man. I didn't even know what raiding was, but I saw you do it once. I was like, I think I've got some random person like hanging out in chat.
Yeah, we're up to 5. We're up to
Nice.
5 people. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Let's see. And with Lars, we got up to, I think we got up to 10 max. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more trickle in. But you keep raiding, and we'll go from there. But yeah, do you want to jump into Skully? Do you want me to show this icon you had up?
We could do what else, man. I can talk about through some slides, and then are you going to do our code example, or am I doing the code example thing?
I'm not ready to do a code example. I think I understand it. Like I think one of the biggest things about Skully is there's not much to understand, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that is one of the great things.
Yeah, like I was like, I'm going to do this video, and I looked at your source code. I checked out. Yeah, y'all had a instruction video on Thinkster.io, and watched that. And that, like, between those 2 things, I was up and like ready to go in like an hour.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we built the bloody thing, and it was a mind bend for us to kind of cram in our head the concept of the JamStack. So once we got the concept, it was like, we just have to build that. Done. Let's do it. So I kind of want to, like, the main thing I try and share is, what is the concept of the JamStack? So I have a couple of slides that will walk us through it. Yeah. So let me try my best to kind of skip through this, and not skip through, but to lay down some long-term tracks and some real learning that's going to stick with you till you got some youngsters that you're spitting it out to in the future. Until it doesn't matter anymore. Let's be honest. It'll matter for 5 years till something replaces the JamStack, but until then, it'll matter. Anyway, so this logo over here, I think Nicole asked, what is the logo? That's the JamStack logo. And that's, according to me, I stole that from from Netlify's website. They're the people who kind of conceptualize and really, I don't want to say radicalize, but formalize and evangelized out this JamStack and proved it out and got so many people to get on board with it. So this is their buddy. This is their logo. So
nice.
Yeah.
So that's a J.
Anyway,
I'm getting it now.
Yeah, it's a J.
There you go. I see it.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Anyway, all right. What is the JamStack? Let's kind of walk through it. I'm just gonna keep clicking. All right. So the main goal is I want to pre-render all the views in your app. Okay. I got to pre-render them and cache them all up. And when those views load, they're still going to load the JavaScript behind them, but I want them to preload all the pre-rendered HTML. Then the Angular app will load, and then it'll turn on top of it, and it will be an Angular app. So for a short while, it'll be just HTML and CSS, but then your Angular app will turn on and be like, hello, and it's there, right?
Well, the really interesting thing you were saying in the Thinkster piece was you don't have to turn Angular on, actually. Like, depending on your app, like you could just let it stay static HTML, which I thought was really neat. Like go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just thought that was interesting. Like it depending on the needs of the app, if it's just like a blog, really, like you don't really need JavaScript in there doing anything crazy. Just like when people click to a link, just href it over. You know?
Yeah, 100%. So that's like the first kind of concept of the JamStack. Pre-render your views, bruv, so that they're all immediately viewable. I don't have to get all this JavaScript and junk and API calls. Just let me pre-render the first load so that your lighthouse doesn't suck as you download, half a meg before I can even see anything. So that's the main point, is give mobile users something for just a few kilobytes. And that's what it does. And it's really, really good at that specifically. Mm-hmm. So the second thing is cache the max amount of APIs as possible. API calls. So imagine you have an app that shows, you sell Diet Dew, vintage Diet Dew. You're a vintage Diet Dew dealer. And every time you come to your homepage, you're going to, what is that you're drinking?
Monster. It's my caffeine of choice.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're sitting there and you're like, okay, every time someone comes to my site, I got to call my API and I got to get the my current list of like the vintage stuff I have on my shelves. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So 100% of the times when my page is loaded, that's going to get called, right?
Yeah.
So that means that the user from wherever they are on Earth, let's say that they're in Europe, yeah? And my server is in North America. They got to travel around this blue spaceship that we're on, right? Tick, almost like rotary style, because it's not fast to do that. And it's got to come to my server and be like, give me the deuce, and it's like, and then it goes back,
please,
and then it comes back over them with the dues, and then only then can it paint them, right?
Yeah.
Well, the JamStack's like, dude, cache that call, so that data can be in the CDN.
The CDN, yeah.
So that way the data's over in Europe. Not they don't have to come to the States to get it. They come, they just stay in Europe and get it. It's much faster.
Yeah.
It's faster. And it's more secure because you don't have to have the API supported in public anymore.
Yeah.
So like your API service shrunk, which means that your attack vector shrunk. So like it's cheaper. You're transferring less data. That's cheaper. It's more secure. That's cheaper. Like it's cheaper. Like it's cheaper squared, cheaper cubed. It's a cheap cube is what it is.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't want to skip ahead too far, but I was looking at the solution for that. So like in your code where you use the HTTP server.
Service.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. But you have another service that Skully is giving you, right?
Yeah.
And it's turning that, like the responses to those, it's kind of caching them and putting it in a data.json, which I thought was really interesting because like that's how I learned. Like I'd create these data.json files somewhere because I didn't like figure out how to spin up servers yet or make API calls. So I was just like, just import that JSON. There we go. Yeah. So
you're skipping ahead though, bro.
I'm sorry.
You're getting the Scully. I'm trying to keep us just on.
Let's keep it to JamStack. Okay. But JamStack, they're usually doing this, right? They're caching. I guess you got to do like a RESTful stateless API because you can't be doing anything where you need authentication or anything like that.
Yeah, those calls you can't cache that, right? So that's why I just said cache the max amount of calls that you can cache. Okay. Because there's some calls you can't cache at all, and so you don't cache those ones. But the ones you can do. Yeah,
some APIs with like enough params, I imagine those can multiply out so that it's just unfeasible to cache them all. Right.
It can be unfeasible if you're a small company, but like let's say you're a big company like T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Then you should do it because you're going to save. You're going to give your users as much performance as hard as that's going to be. You're going to boost your performance like insane. Mm-hmm. So there are big clients where I think it does matter a lot. And in fact, the bigger you are, the more important JamStack is because you have more customers. And the more money you're going to make off of doing these principles. Anyway, the third thing is use the CDN for everything. Like if you can cache it. So by the time you're done, what happens is you've pre-rendered all your views. you cache as many calls as you can. So you have a ton of indexed HTML calls. You have a ton of data.json calls for each of those indexed HTML calls.
Mhm.
And then you just like dump it all onto the CDN. Because
There you go.
the CDN's like, it's like what you would do if you had time, money, and discipline, but you don't have any of the three. So you're like, I'll just pay a CDN to do it. They'll copy it across the whole globe.
Right.
They'll gzip it. They'll make sure it's fast. And then it's just right there as soon as your user needs it. There's a version
it's just
of
the closest hop over.
Yeah. And so that's like the last part of it of the JamStack is just put everything on your user's side of this blue spaceship that we're on, so that they don't have to go very far to get it, right?
Yeah, I get you.
So anyway, yeah, and I don't care if they're Brotling or whatever, but I mean the fact is the stuff is getting Gzipped. That's all we care about, right?
Yeah. It's getting zipped up. It's getting minimized somehow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So Lars was interested in types of businesses and projects that use a solution like this. I think blogs are the main one, right? Like
No.
Blogs
are a good one for Angular. Because we've never had a blogging solution in Angular.
Yeah.
A lot of our like Angular buddies have all moved their blogs to React because it supports Markdown and it's easier to author stuff in Markdown. So Skully is a great option for blogs for Angular developers because it's like, hey, I want to write a bunch of stuff in Markdown. Cool.
Dude, that's so nice. Like using that with source control, it's pretty nice. I like it a lot.
And we actually have the Skully Markdown renderer that will work as you're doing ngserve. So you can actually develop your blog and get Skully's Markdown rendering happening during the ngserve. Like it's super efficient and cool, to be totally honest. Yeah, and really so neat. You don't have to like type it all up and then say, hey, Skully, generate my whole blog. Like it will just do it on the fly for you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I haven't looked into to Skully/all, but I saw that it's a thing. So yeah,
it's really easy. But like to your question was, and let's
go back to Lars's original question.
Yeah, businesses that do this kind of stuff. Okay, and I think the number one, if you have tons of largely dynamic content that could be delivered statically, like in a big way, then you need to use Skully. Like you definitely you need to use JamStack. If you're not using Angular, then don't like convert Angulars to use Skully. Like you just need to use JamStack. Let me give you an example of who I'm talking about. Like eBay. How many product pages does eBay have?
Millions.
Too many to count. It's got a lot of bloody product pages. Yeah. So eBay is a great idea of, hey, this is a site that's tons of very static but slightly dynamic pages where they could pre-render almost 90% of the page, and then like the bits about who's the most recent bidder, what's the current bid price, what's the time remaining. Those bits could be dynamically populated. Yeah. But like the images and everything about the thing being on auction, that could be very, very easily statically generated.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the concept is anyone who has tons of publicly available content pages should definitely. Wikipedia is a perfect example. Yeah.
That's a great example. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazon, one of our big users who's making a lot of money off of it is 1-800-Contacts. They sell contacts online. So they have hundreds of product lists of products and then product detail pages and then deeper and deeper on each product detail. So like they also pre-render a ton of stuff and they've had huge wins by leaning in on Skully. So yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I'm a CS nerd. So what this looks like to me, it's like trading space for time, right? Like it's kind of similar. Instead of like taking up memory, you're taking up, you're taking up a lot of space or a lot of storage on your CDNs. Like you're populating them with everything, but the result is you get these like lightning fast, like first interactive times, right?
So yeah, so here's the give and take.
Yeah,
it takes longer to build your site this way.
Yeah.
So your build time gets slower. There's no way around that. Mm-hmm. But your user's experience on your website their experience goes way through the roof. Let me kind of walk through some of these principles of why it will get faster. Okay. So let me talk about the pre-rendering bits.
Let's do it.
I'm going to skip this. This is a quote from me. If you ever find something that will prove me wrong, you're wrong.
Dude.
No amount of optimization on your front end app can provide as much increase in performance for your app as the JamStack will. Like, just going to the JamStack will outbe any sort of optimization you can architect your smart engineer brain into. I promise. Like, the JamStack is insane. I've worked on projects for months to make small dents that the JamStack just gets with the most boneheaded implementation possible. It really is insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I screenshotted this so that when the next stack comes along that makes this obsolete, we can look back to it. But yeah, in Crunchcorn saying time to interactive isn't lowered, just first meaningful paint.
Yeah. So I bring that back up because let's talk through that.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
So there was this airport that did this study, and what their study was, Zach, was they said, hey, we want people to be satisfied when they walk out with their luggage. And so their goal was like, hey, there's two parts to deliver here. We got to get the people off the plane to the luggage as fast as possible. And then they got the back house of the airport that's like, we got to get the stuff off the plane and to the carousel as fast as possible. So they kind of train up both sides of the house, and they're focused and they do their craft and they make the optimizations, and the people are off the plane fast to their luggage. The luggage gets there as fast as it can, and then the people walk out and they rate their experience, and they're actually not super excited about their experience. They're like, I had to wait so long for my thing. And a lot of people have heard this story.
I heard it too. I think it's on this Thinkster video I watched.
Yeah.
So,
and so
let's not let that ruin a good story though.
Yeah, no. So the airport's getting low marks though, because people are having to wait for their luggage, and they're like, we've optimized the front of the house so well, and the back of the house is actually optimized really well too, but people are still not happy. So they're like, what if we put in some sort of entertainment or some sort of something that they can do while they're waiting? And this is called active waiting, right? So you give something to do actively while they're waiting. So they made them just walk a bit further before they could get to their luggage. And then they showed up about the same time as their luggage did. So even though they walked further, which should have pissed them off, the fact that they got there when they're, it sounds like a bad thing. The fact that they didn't have to wait for their luggage once they got there, like, this is a great idea.
Awesome.
This is the best airport I've ever been to. Get their luggage.
Crazy like that.
Yeah. And walk out. And so, I mean, humans with our satisfaction results, it's like we're basically begging people to lie to us, right? And so yeah, and that's kind of to Crunchcorn. It's kind of Crunchcorn. It's kind of to his point or their point of the first meaningful paint is going to be on the screen significantly faster, right? And that first meaningful paint is actually interactive. I can scroll, and I can even click on things. So the TTI is way lowered, right?
Yeah.
So like I can actually like have a button that isn't backed by JavaScript, and I can click on it, and that click can actually take me to the next screen. It's like they can actually be interacting with the website and doing things with it before the JavaScript's downloaded. Yeah. And
so he's saying TTI in terms of JS interactivity. So that makes sense. I was saying TTI. I don't know what the technical definition for TTI is, but you're loading any link has an href on it, right?
Yeah.
So you can send people around. Like if they click on something before the JavaScript arrives, you're still good.
Scroll, click, and it's just an href, bruv. The web was built to do href. So if it can't do an href, then we got to go back to 1990s and ask them what was going on. So and it's just an href. So yeah, your TTI. The site is interactive, and whether you have your like very, very lighthousey definition of TTI or your layman, I just want the site to work for definition, and that's the one I care about the most. Is does the layman feel like it's faster? 100%, right? And so, so your time to interactive is actually way, way, way reduced. The time to the last meaningful paint, though, that last large JavaScript like DOM dump.
That's as big as it was before, right?
That's the same size, and it actually happens a little bit slower than normal.
Because you got to wait for the first one to come in.
So
How does
it actually
that work? Like, is there something on the href that says after this is all loaded, then go get the script? Or
no, just the script files at the bottom of the body.
Okay.
Yeah. So it shows all of the pre-rendered stuff and then begins the download of the JavaScript. So
Instead of it being up in the head where it usually is.
Yeah, because then it would block the pre-rendered stuff from even showing. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. And it's really, really cool when you sit back and look at what's happening there. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool gig. Anyway, let me get into this thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Scully's a JamStack tool chain, and it's just trying to help you do all the JamStack stuff plus some Scully stuff. It wants to work on all of Angular projects. It doesn't want you to have to pay a lot to get in there. It wants to support Markdown, and it wants to have a plugin ecosystem. You've technically been able to do JamStack for a while. You could build your own versions with Angular Universal. Angular Universal is not for all projects. It doesn't require no effort to integrate. It doesn't have Markdown support, and it certainly needs, but doesn't have plugins or a plugin ecosystem to tap from. So we kind of grabbed a lot of our, what do we want to have our goals be from what are the pains that people feel working with like Universal or some of the tools around React.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I haven't done much with Universal. Can you? So Universal, my understanding is it's like a SSR solution for Angular. Is that right? Or
yeah. I mean, it pre-renders your site on the server, right? Gotcha. And so it's really
doing it inside of like a node context, right?
Yeah, it is. It's doing it inside a node. And Scully's not using Node. Scully's using Puppeteer, which is has this Chrome instance.
Yeah, are you going to get to that later, or are we jumping the gun again?
No, we can talk about it now.
Okay. Dude, I thought your solution was awesome. Like, it's just genius. Like, you just run a build, and then you let Puppeteer, like, crawl. And then you just capture, right? That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean.
It's genius, man.
So you look at a site, and you're like, what do I need to pre-render this thing? Well, I need to find all of its routes and combinations of routes, and then I just need to render those. Like it's not a 3-part process. Like it's a 2-step process, right? Like find all the routes and then render them and save them. Like it's really not that hard to be like, what should I do to do this? Well, there's this and then there's that. And so part of the ingenuity is how we said find all the routes and how we let you plug in to help it get the routes. And then the other part is, okay, now we're going to use Scully or Puppeteer to pre-render them all. Yeah. And the reason it's genius, to your point, is like on this next slide, I kind of show a pre-rendering with 1-800 contacts. On the right, you see it rendered with Scully. On the left, as it's just popping in slowly, this is what it looks like without Scully. So it's about to start over. Here it is starting over. Yeah. And so you can see how fast on a fast 5G that popped up quick by comparison. In the JamStack version versus the non-JamStack version. Right. Here's about to start over again. Now, let me tell you the real interesting about this client. This client is in an ng upgrade scenario. So most of their code is Angularjs. Now, I'm coming all the way back to our Angular Universal point. Yeah. This never would have rendered an Angular Universal. Like,
right.
Angularjs is never, ever, short of someone investing tens of thousands, probably over hundreds of thousands, to get it to render in a node context. And so
well, anything touching the browser is like you can't
dead.
Won't work in Universal.
Dead. Yeah. It's very, very dead at that point. Any jQuery plugins, there's a lot of stuff that you're dead at that point. So it makes it very, very difficult to work with. But this site's cooking with gas, and they've got a lot of legacy tech that Scully's empowered them to become a first-class JamStack app. Without having to invest too much. And these results, this was like the dumbest, most bonehead version of the JamStack when I made these images. It's even faster now. So really, really cool. Anyway, so we can do a demo now. We have time. But yeah, I may have
is it the donut demo?
I mean, I feel like I have to do the donut demo because it might be the only thing It might be the only app I've got ready. Do you have anything ready?
No, dude, I was so when I was making my video, I was thinking maybe I'll just use their donut thing because I don't know. I wanted to kind of use it on the project I've been working on in my live stream, but it's like a social media thing, and it just doesn't fit very well, right? Because it's all like user specific and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people are demanding the donut example. So
Is it happening? Okay, fine. All right, let's do the donut example.
do you feel comfortable doing it? I don't want to be putting you into a situation you don't want to
No,
be
yeah, heck yeah, dude.
in.
Let's do it. I'm just gonna
Let's do
have to arrange my desktop. Give me a second. You go away. You come over here. Do it. All right, I'm gonna have to reset some files. Actually, I'll just let you guys watch me do this. So I presented at NgConf Columbia. And so I just gotta.
Dude, NgConf Columbia seems like an awesome time.
It was really, really cool. Like I was really, really proud of those conference organizers.
Yeah, I saw Twitter just going crazy there for NgConf Co.
No, their Twitter was insane. You know, they've always had such an outstanding community down there, though. Like it's been years that they've been like leading from in front. They're really, really good at community down there. So anyway, all right. So I reset this project. Actually, there's one last thing. Let's just delete the static dist folder. Okay. So now we've reset. Let's just ng serve this real quick, just so everyone can kind of see what this project is.
Let me share there you go. You're on screen now.
Okay, now, okay, cool. So 1 second, let me get a screen. And we're going to put you over on this desktop. And we'll come
Let me make you a little bigger. There you go.
Is that good?
Still a little small, but let's see.
Oh, I forgot to run the donut server. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
We got to go get this server going.
Are you using NX for this example?
No.
No.
You mad at me?
I was just saying, man, if you use it NX, you could just run it with one builder.
I don't know where my donut store is.
Start the fryer. Gotta serve up those donuts.
Okay. All right. T donut API. Here we go. npm runs serve. Nice. Okay. Cool. So now I can come over here, refresh. We got our donuts. Okay. So this is just the store. I built my own donut API. I built a scraper that scrapes Krispy Kreme because I wasn't creative enough to go and like scrape together a bunch of good donut pictures. So I just scraped Krispy Kreme. So this app right here, it's very, very simple. It has an about route, right? Yeah. And I'm going to just zoom in. It has an about route. It has its home route. And then you can click on any of these donuts. It shows you like a little bit of info about the cake batter donut. You can click on here to get some nutritional facts. Everything's href based, all the navigation, and then you can come home when you're done. So it's a very, very simple website, right? This page right here makes one call to get this list of donuts. And then when you go to the donut detail, it makes one call to get the individual donut detail.
Okay, so you're getting extra details when you click into one.
You do, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But even if you didn't, it just makes its own request. It's not a well architected app. It's just doing it so that we have multiple calls that we can cache. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think we have 48 or 47 different donuts. So 3 times, I think we have 47. And so when we pre-render this, we're going to be able to save one call for the home page to the API, and then 47 distinct calls for the details when those individual pages call as well. So we're going to be able to save a lot of calls to the API. And just one last kind of proof of concept. When I refresh this home page, you can see it calls to the Donuts API. It calls localhost 3000 because that's the server. When we're done, it's not going to call 3000 anymore. It's going to call the 4200 because it's going to be calling from the CDN.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and then the last thing is if I open up my command palette and say disable JavaScript, and then I refresh this page, it's dead.
It ain't gonna be pretty.
It ain't no going to work. So it doesn't work.
It's not
anymore.
even there.
That's dead.
Dang.
So we're gonna have to re-enable it, right?
Gotcha.
So we re-enable JavaScript, do a refresh, happening. So we're back. All right. So this is our project. Very simple. It's you don't write home about this project. It's only good for demos and for getting people hungry. So the first thing you're gonna want to do inside of a project is here. Let's split this vertically. We'll come over here, and the first thing you're gonna want to do is install Skully. All right. So there's actually 7 or 8 steps that it's gonna do. So we just made a schematic because nobody wants to do it. And the schematic supports NX. So it doesn't matter what type of project setup you're in, it's going to work for you. Okay. And so to run it, all you have to do is say ng add skully.io/init. Okay. So this init schematic is what goes ahead and takes care of get everything installed. I had all the packages already installed, so I didn't need to really worry about it. As it installs, your NgServe will die, so you're gonna have to restart your NgServe. So I'll just kill it. What you talking about?
What?
Could not find module. So let's just rm rf modules and do it again. Let's do it again.
Okay, let's do it again. And you did rm-rf. I was like, no, not on stream, Rusty, not on stream. Okay.
All right, now we'll do
it again.
There we go. What's happening?
It says no such file or directory. I think you lost ng when you killed your node modules. We lost ng.
I'm just going to open up it. No, I have it installed globally.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. No, I don't.
Try npx ng.
npm install. All right, I have to install again. God damn it.
Okay.
All right, we got to install again. This is the fun stuff about twitching is you never know if it's going to work, right?
Yeah. Sorry about you on the spot with this, but the people are enjoying their donuts, so I appreciate you doing that.
Good. No, it's good, man. All right, I put you on my bottom screen so I can see you guys better now.
Cool.
All right. Do it faster, please. Oh, yeah. So
we got a question here from Lars. Do you want to take a look here, Aaron?
I had to do something.
JamStack Solutions. Oh, sorry. Do you have your headphones off there?
Oh, go ahead.
We got a question while we're waiting. Do JamStack Solutions have a way to do affected pre-render? I think you were talking about this in the Thinkster thing, weren't you?
Yeah, we're adding it. That's like our next big focus is to do an affected style pre-render.
Yeah, that seems like it would be huge. Like if you're adding a donut, right? Like depending on your build process, you could potentially have to make all your donuts again. When really all you need is to add the one, right?
Totally, yeah. ng add skully.io/init. Doing it again.
Do it.
All right. Yeah, we're working on that. So the other day I was doing this for NgConf Colombia, and something I can't remember what it was taking too long. So I just reached down and I'm like, all right. All right, we're done. Bro, that's all I did.
That made it work. It made it work. Look at that. Look at those screens.
No. That by itself turned it into the best presentation I'd ever done. Anyway, nice. So here's kind of the steps it went through as it installed. It added the Angular 9 version because this project was Angular 9. It it updated the package JSON with some changes it needed in there. It created a new Skully Config file. It buggered a couple extra new files for it, and then it updated the Skully Config. So it didn't do too much for us, but it went ahead and did some stuff for us. So let me kind of walk you through the Skully Config, because this is like the big. This is mostly what you're going to care about when you're working with Skully.
Oh,
and I say big, but it's actually like a super small file, right? Like there's a lot going on here. And so yeah, like all that's happening here is it's just like, hey, where's your project housed at? What's the name? Where's your plugins dir? Like, where do your plugins exist? When I'm done building it, where do you want me to put the output? Right. So we'll just say donut store static. Have it be in that static directory. And then this routes config is for if we're going to pre-render any of our routes, which we definitely are in this demo. So the first thing that you kind of want to do is, hey, let's just tell Skully to build our site. Like we haven't made any changes. Let's just have it. Let's just see if it can build out of the gate. Like, can I actually get it to build my web page without making any changes? So let's try it. So one of the new scripts that added in package JSON is npm run Skully. Okay, and this running Skully just says, hey, do your best to do those two things. Find all my routes.
So running the ng add touched our package JSON to add that script.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we run it, it's just doing those two steps. I said, remember, find all the routes and then pre-render all the routes you found. Okay.
Okay. Is it going to put it into that config file we're looking at too?
Is it going to put the routes in here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But we can kind of walk through what it just did because it's done. It was that quick. It only took 3 seconds. So it was quick to get. So it says, hey, let's start by doing finding all your routes, right?
Okay.
And then it kind of went through that whole finding all the routes, and it couldn't find any configuration for this donut detail route. So it's like, hey, I found this, but I'm going to skip it. And then it went ahead and it rendered them all. It said, this is kind of where it starts the rendering. So it put the list of the routes over in this file, the Skully routes file. But the only two that it could render was the about route and the home route, because all the other routes are in here. Okay. So all the details for the donuts are in there. So it couldn't pre-render those. Right. Anyway. So
that makes sense. It doesn't, like, there's nothing that defines anything in the Angular app about what the existing donut IDs are. That's all coming from the API, right?
Yeah. So I don't ever want to run that Skully build again. So just for the remainder today, I'm just going to run it one more time. I'm going to say npm run Skully, and I'm going to add an extra watch flag on there.
Nice.
And now it's going to kind of be in watch mode, and it's going to be anytime anything changes, don't be in a loop. I'm going to punch you in the neck if you're in a loop. Okay, cool. It's in a loop. It's in a loop. Everyone tweet my team. It didn't work.
F's in chat, everyone. F's in chat.
If I'm the only one that tells them it didn't work, they're not going to believe me. I might need everyone to tweet this because, anyway, they never believe me. Anyway, all right, cool. So, all right. We have some questions. Should we stop and answer some of these questions?
I think we got just this one that Lars kind of answered. So Skully, is the goal of Skully to be framework agnostic? It's Angular only. I think that makes sense given what we're looking at here, because you're kind of parsing it for things you would expect in an Angular app, right? Like the routes, you're figuring that out because you know how an Angular project looks like, right?
Yeah. So lazy DK is not wrong. He's right. It is mostly Angular, but that's not our end goal. Like we work on a project that's just AngularJS, and you can get Skully to work on a React project as well.
I guess the same solution, like the same strategy, Puppeteer to serve it up. That should work.
Yeah, but so the goal isn't to just stay in the Angular area. like to Josh's question, Jay Van Allen's question.
Yeah.
It's not just to stay in Angular. We are going to focus on Angular because it is the most underserved of all the Jamstack communities. And when you stand back and objectively look at as a business, it's of all the different frameworks, it's the only one that really makes sense to build a Jamstack solution for, because Angular owns the enterprise, and that's where kind of money exists. So Scully's gonna be in Angular almost 100% for a long time. So
don't expect a Scully React unless
no.
community
Expect a
comes
Scully React, but expect Scully to stay heavily focused in Angular.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. So
what happened with our loop?
The server, I don't know how to do it. Let's try one thing. npm run Skully. I think I can just say kill server. I think it will try and kill the server for me. Now I can try the watch again.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, you got tweet my team. Tweet my team. Okay. Everyone's tweeting my team. This is great.
Everyone tweets.
Okay. Everyone's tweeting at him. This is beautiful. Okay. All right. So we'll just have to run Scully every time we do a build. So I apologize to everybody. All right. So so we're gonna say over here, we're gonna say npm run Scully. Because now that I have the build, I actually want to see what it looks like. What is the pre-rendered version? How do I serve that up? Right? Because I can't tell ngserve to serve those static files now. I need my own server to serve that up. So we built Scully serve, which it's very, very, very similar to ngserve. Like if you use proxy support with ngserve, you can use the exact same proxy support with Scully serve. So we've tried any of those certs or those extra switches you use with the Angular CLI, you can use those with the Scully serve as well. So we've tried our best to add all that support on there for you. So we're going to say Scully serve. So we're going to serve our pre-generated version, and it's going to serve the pre-built Angular one, which is the result of our ng build, but it's also going to serve just the static version as well, like the Scully version. So I'm going to click on that link, and that's going to go to the wrong window, of course. 1 second. Okay, so here's our pre-built one that was pre-built using Scully. So if I refresh this, I go to all, still refresh. If we scroll to the top, when we look at localhost, this is what localhost looked like when it got it. It was fully pre-rendered, right? Now, if you come back over to our Angular, our original version, I'm not serving anymore. That got delivered in an empty index.html. Okay, so this one came down fully pre-rendered. All right, and then the Angular started to download afterwards, and then everything kind of rendered. So this thing was definitely delivered pre-rendered. So you can kind of serve it, and now that once it bootstraps as Angular, it now works. So even though I haven't pre-rendered this page, because I landed on this page, I can then click into here and it'll still work. But if I were to refresh on this page, it's dead, because it's like, yeah, you didn't pre-render this guy.
Yeah.
So I can come here and then click into it, but if I refresh, it's dead. And
you can't hit it directly.
I can't hit it directly, and that's because if you come back to our build, when we
never put in the donut IDs, right? It doesn't know what donut IDs to pre-render.
It was like, hey, brother, you, bruv, forgot to teach me how to find these donut IDs. So I'm like, all right, let's go teach it how to find the donut IDs. So this is
the donut IDs are always changing, Frosty. How do we do that?
You're gonna get it from a back end. Okay. So I'm gonna show you a really easy way to configure.
That was a setup for your spike.
You're softballing, bro. Love it. So we're gonna take this route it couldn't find. We're just gonna copy it and we're gonna put it up in our config. Yeah. And I'm gonna say, okay, let's configure this. So to fetch these donut IDs, I want to use the JSON plugin. Okay, because it's just the donuts are just JSON files up on a server somewhere. So I'm gonna say, okay, use the JSON, and to get the donut IDs, so we'll copy donut ID. we'll say to get those, go to the URL, HTTP localhost 3000 /donuts. Okay. And that's going to give me an array. So I'm going to say for each of the things in the array, I want you to get the property. Okay. And that property will become the donut ID inside this route. Okay. So if I get 47 donut IDs out of this, Skully will then merge those 47 IDs into that URL 47 times and give me 47 distinct URLs. Okay. Now,
nice. Okay. I understand.
All I have to do at this point is rebuild the site with Skully. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to say,
too bad that watch ain't working.
I know, dude. The watch right now would be brilliant.
It would
npm run Skully and npm run Skully serve. This time, we're not going to get that donut error, and it's going to go through and pre-render a lot more files than it did last time.
So right? 47 extra ones, right, for each donut we got.
Yeah. So instead of just 2, we got 49, right? So quite a few more. If you come over to like our dist into that folder where we said, hey, here's your out directory. So if we go to that donut store static directory, we come in here and go to the donuts directory. There's one folder for every single donut that was in our app. So, and inside each of them is our index.html, right? And if we format that, we can come down to the bottom and we can say, yeah, these actually are pre-rendered. This was the powdered lemon cream. Yeah. So
anyway, these come in as their own index.html. That was interesting.
Yeah, every single view in your app comes in as an index.html. And this is how all of the SSGs work. Like Gatsby's doing it this way, Vercel's doing it this way, Nux is doing it this way, Gridsom's doing it this way. So like this is just how you do SSG that converts into an SPA is with an index.html. So it's pretty typical that's how it works. So
makes sense.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Are you laughing because someone said something?
Not really. No, it's just interesting to think about some of that stuff. I was laughing at your acronyms. I think the chaining of those. Like I understood what they all meant, but it's weird how we just go to that like SPA and
CPA,
all that stuff.
Yeah. When you go SSG to SPA,
yeah. So what's SSG? I don't know if we've explained that yet. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. You asked me earlier.
Yeah, I asked you beforehand. That's what we get for talking before we start. We got a different context than our audience.
Yeah. What's the diff between? Because I said Skully's not SSR, and you were like, why not? Because it definitely is rendering on the server.
Yeah.
So you were kind of confused why I said it wasn't SSR.
Well, here's the thing I was confused about. Someone in Thinkster, there's the question and answer section. Someone said, I want to do SSR to get SEO and stuff like that set up for our site. And we're looking at Skully. And what you said was, Skully is a JamStack solution. It's not a SSR solution.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, what? And so I wrote that down in my notes. As I've got to ask Aaron about this because I'm not sure exactly what that means.
I should probably be more careful when I say that. Typically, when people say SSR, what they're referring to is it's rendered on the server just in time as the user requested the data.
Yeah.
So, like, they come to your homepage, and rather than delivering them an empty index.html and letting the client download the JavaScript and then paint the home, some people will have Angular Universal doing a server-side render, which is what SSR stands for. Mm. They'll have it do a server-side render, and then they'll deliver that server-side rendered HTML that has custom content in it, and it can be very, very tailored to that specific user. And then once that's downloaded, then it downloads the JavaScript, and it turns back into a single-page app at that point. So most people, when they talk about SSR, they're referring to that just-in-time, as the user requests it, generation of the pages.
Did I get it wrong? I'm really attaching myself to the acronyms here. SSR is JIT?
It's
Did I get it backwards?
SSR is akin to AOT is what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Is that wrong? Should it be this instead? SSR is JIT.
SSR is kind of JIT.
So you wouldn't make that HTML file until a request came in SSR.
Typically, you could though. You could. That's why I said the typical usage of SSR, because you definitely could use, and with Angular 9, people are definitely with Angular 9, people are using Universal and its SSR capability to do SSG. So Scully is rendering on the server. It's rendering at build time. It's just not in. It's not in your runtime environment. It's only a build time tool. So and that's the other thing that SSR implies, is that it's a tool chain that sits in your runtime, your production environment. And Scully doesn't really exist in production. It only exists in build time. Once you're out in prod, Scully doesn't really exist much unless you're using that data caching layer. So that's why I hesitate to call SSR, because I don't want people to think, oh, we're going to have a Scully server running in production. You're not. Right. You're only going to have it as part of your build pipeline.
It's only in build.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And SSG is you just do all that same stuff, but you aggressively get all your routes, and then you pre-render every one that you can, stick all that out on a CDN. So yeah. Anyway. So we've pre-rendered everything. If we check out our pre-rendered version now, if I refresh this, I can click here, and I can actually refresh now on this details page, right? And it now works. And if you look at that pre-rendered view, what is this? Give me is this HTML? Yeah. No. This is what it gave me back. Okay, sorry.
There you go.
It looked for that, couldn't find it, redirected to the index HTML. Got that. So here's the fully pre-rendered version of this detail page. Yep. Right.
So this file is sitting out on every single server on your CDN, just waiting for people to grab it.
Yeah, waiting. Yeah, all your details pages will sit out there like that, and they'll be immediately rendered. If your users are on mobile devices, it will just immediately appear for them. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Thoughts on that?
Thoughts on that? I think it's pretty awesome.
All right. Well, here comes a little bit more mind blowing then. So let's open up the dev tools, open up command palette. Let's disable JavaScript.
Oh, snap.
All right. So here we go. So if I go back to see all the donuts, and we're going to refresh because the JavaScript is disabled now. You notice it didn't download any of my Angular JavaScript files, like any JavaScript files, really, just that HTML and then all the SVG, JPG stuff. Anyway, and if I click on this, that navigation works and it's immediate. And if I click back home, that works. And if I click back into that and click on its nutritional facts, that works. And so like everything, this app it's well working because all the click targets are href based. Right?
Yeah. So we just teleported back to 2005 kind of, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But we got all the benefits of 2005, but we can just flip it on so that we get all the benefits of 2022.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, hey, definitely turn off JavaScript and expect your users. Well, but if there was an error, you'd be fine.
Yeah. You'd be fine. I imagine though, there's like for most of these solutions we're looking at 2005. I don't know. I got started in the business around 2016, so I'm just guessing with some of these older dates. But yeah. So for a lot of these situations, I imagine you'd want to be doing some sort of like tracking, right? Some sort of analytics tracking that would come in. Now you probably need JavaScript for. So
yeah. So Scully has a whole plugin system that allows you to add additional pieces on top.
Yeah, so Lars was saying this in here. Plugins are a secret sauce of Scully.
Yeah. So let's say you had some analytics you wanted to add, but you also wanted to remove all the JavaScript on the page. So you can run one plugin that removes all JavaScript, and then you can add an extra plugin that goes, but add in these analytics pieces of JavaScript back in at the end.
Throw Google Analytics back in there. So I can
show you those. So remove all the JavaScript, but put a couple pieces back in for Google Analytics, maybe LogRocket, maybe Sentry, right? Like get some of that stuff in there for my users as well. So yeah, or get some Adobe Analytics stuff going, Google Analytics. So yeah, definitely. That's what the rest of the plugin system is for. So
yeah. Crutchcorn asks, does Skully have plans to do an HTML CSS only build, like a way to kill JS in the bundle?
So when it comes to Angular, no. I mean, there's no way for it to do that. It needs the result of the ng build in order to do anything. So yeah. I don't think so. I mean, we have a post render plugin that will remove all the JavaScript for you. So with a simple configuration of one plugin, all the JavaScript can go away. So we don't make it hard for you to remove JavaScript yourself, but we're probably not going to try and like first class support that because most of our users are enterprise and they're not too concerned with ever getting rid of JavaScript, right? They have very little need for doing that. So anyway, yeah. All right. So let's get to, we haven't modified our Angular app at all, by the way. We've only modified a couple pieces of config. So let's get into some details where we start caching these calls, because when you come back here, if you notice, it's when we refresh the page, it's still calling out to, where's that donuts API? JavaScript disabled or enabled?
I think you clicked it off, right?
Oh, it's back on. I turn it back on.
Okay.
So I come here, it has to refresh. It has to go get its own donut detail. And then if I come back home, it already had its data, so it doesn't need to. So if I come, all right, let's come here. And then when we go home, donuts. I don't know why it's trolling me right now. I know it needs those donuts. Oh, wait.
Well, was it coming from the data? The data.json?
I can't. No, it's using.
Oh, it's using
my last ng build. In my last ng build, I had already implemented what we're about to do. So one second. Let's do an ng build real quick. ng build, and then we're gonna do it Scully again.
Okay.
So let's build it to where it actually is gonna do what it's supposed to be doing. Come on, buddy. Sorry, that was a non-typical reaction. What just happened? It shouldn't have done that.
Oh, Brandon's coming in with an interesting question.
How can I use Scully with my custom Angular routing library?
Have you seen his routing library? Brandon's routing library is awesome.
Yeah.
You could just tell Scully the routes still, right?
Yeah. So if I'm Brandon, the easiest way for Brandon and I both to get support is if we complain loud enough to Minko and we make Minko add support in guest parser for Brandon's router. So if we can get Minko to add guest support for Brandon's router, then that's the easiest way. The second easiest way, and until that exists, is if Brandon knows a way to discover his routes during the build, you could use this extra routes array. And this just ends up being, it just ends up being an array of routes, right? So you can put as many of these in here. These can be hundreds or thousands of lists of routes long. So just using this extra routes array inside the config is how I would recommend getting something in there today. But yeah. Everyone should go check out Brandon's router, github.com/BrandonRoberts/Angular-routing. You should check it out.
Yeah. Codephobia is high. But yeah, so Brandon's thing is like, so you don't use like the router module or the regular one, where that's not where you define your routes. You actually define your routes inside of the template, which is, I think, super cool.
Yeah, his is more kind of a la what's that? The React router type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
where
not familiar with the React
more,
router, but
it's more declarative in the markup.
yeah.
Yeah. So guest parser struggles with that. It does its best, and it's harder. It's a lot less easy to analyze and like trace like into nested routes and stuff. But it does have some support. So I am imagining it wouldn't be impossible to get guest.js support for it. But the next thing that Brandon could do is build a route discover plugin that would discover the routes for his router. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it could totally work because there's a whole route discovery plugin that there's a whole life cycle in the route discovery process where he could just plug in an Angular router or whatever the name of his is, there a reactive router plugin that would go and do a discovery process on his routers. So without too much effort, I think you could get through that. Anyway, so all right, we did our build. Now let's go do our Skully build and serve, which will go quick. It'll just take like 5 seconds. Do it. All right, here we go. Done. Serving. Come back over here. So now it's going to request, don't make me a liar. Don't make me a liar.
No. Do you still have
There
it?
we go.
Okay. We got it.
All right. So now I don't like them.
It's funny because we're trying to get it so Scully doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to make it cache this call. So that when we come to our homepage and we do a refresh, it's not going to call to our API anymore. Not on port 3000, okay? It's just going to have the data cached inside the thing. So that's our current goal. And I'm excited to do this. It's going to blow your mind when you see how simple it is, Zach. So let's do it real quick. So let's open up our donuts.
Joss is saying the outer is messed up. I think he's right.
Donuts. 1 second.
Sure.
Donuts.component. So did I mess up my file, my config?
Just on the outer, it's like there's a dash there at the end, but nothing is dashing to.
When did I do that?
Up at outer line 8.
Yeah. When did I do that though?
No clue. We'll have to go back to the film and watch it to figure out when that happened.
Huh. That bugs me. Oh well. I don't really care actually. Okay, we're good. Okay.
All right, so you're setting us up right now. We're still getting all our donuts from the API. We want to not do that.
So when this donut, so this is a very simple example. I'm not using any like formal state management.
Oh, your lack of RxJS.
Yeah.
Not lack of it, but rather the subscribe.
Yeah. I'm trying. Sad. I did, I would have. I did code this differently the first time, but then
I know you, Aaron. But then you have to answer a whole bunch of other questions.
Yeah. The next thing you know, I'm teaching RxJS. I was like, I'm not going to do async pipe. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to do this the way some people expect me to. So, all right. So you get there's a new service in Skully that comes that we're gonna start using. Okay. And we're going to use it to cache this call, and it's called the transfer state service. Transfer state. Okay. Mm-hmm. Transfer state service. Bringing it in straight from the NgLib. All right. So now we've got it. And it's kind of silly. We're going to duplicate this line of code. It's kind of silly how easy this is to do. We're going to say, hey, the donuts are now equal to the transfer state dot use state. Okay. So we're saying, hey, we want you to use a new cache called donuts. Mm-hmm. And if the donuts are in there, then get them out and put it in here. But if they're not, go get them from the API. And that's not exactly what's happening. What's exactly happening is it's saying, is Skully building right now? If I'm in the Skully build process, or if I'm on my ngserve,
then
go ahead and call this.
So when you run it in Puppeteer, you want to make sure you're hitting the actual API, right?
Yeah. In
That's
Puppeteer.
That's where it's creating this cache.
Yeah.
But then when we ship it, we're actually going to ship the cache that it's building from using these gets.
Yeah. So it's going to say, hey, during Skully, get this data, put it into the cache with that name. And then in production, it's going to say, I'm in production, so just get the value out of the cache with that name. So it's very, very simple. Like there's not a lot of moving parts under the hood, though it is more than slightly complex. So, but to use, it's just one line of code, which is really, really nice. Anyway, so now I can do another ng build. Here, let's just do this.
So you're going to want to build, you're going to want to run Skully, and then we should see this working.
Yeah.
That, right? Okay. Oh, look at those ands.
Yeah, let's get it all together.
Just all in one shot.
When the Skully serve with the watch works, you have the Skully serve on one side and the Skully build watch on the other side, and they just sit there and they kind of play nice together. It's actually pretty cool. Anyway, okay. So now we're over here. Now I'm going to do refreshing. You're going to notice it's not going to make this call.
Yeah. All right, let's see it.
All right, so that call's gone.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go, Frosty?
Where is it? Where is it? So yeah, it just pulled the data out of the cache, okay? What that means is it's going to live on your CDN, which means it's going to be way faster, which means people aren't going to call it in production. You're not paying to transfer the data across your network. You're not paying to house the data. You don't have to secure the API. Your API service got smaller. Your production environment got more simplified. So like there's a lot of benefit with that small optimization that we just did. To do it on the details page, because the details page still goes and fetches the data. To do it over here, it's just as simple. So let's go do it a second time.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the donut detail view and do the same thing.
We're going to do the exact same thing over here. And it's just as simple. I'm going to bring in that service, private transfer state service. I'm going to take out this, take out that value, and I'm going to say this dot transfer state use transfer state. This one we'll call it, instead of donuts, we'll call it donut. And we'll give it that same observable back. And we're done. Start over. Normally when you have that watch, it is so much easier. I apologize that every single step is taking 20 seconds build cycle.
That's a really cool developer experience when it works, though, I imagine.
No, it's super cool. You just hit save. The ng build watch fires. The ng the npm Skully build watch instantly fires. It's really nice.
Just imagine how I feel when I'm live coding, where I got my Node server, my Angular stuff, my Cypress. They're all going. They all get updated. It's
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Watching's the best. All right, so let's see.
So now we're over here. It's not making any. If I just look at XHR calls, also
no calls there.
Come back over here. Also no XHR. Like everything's good.
Kill the filter there. Kill the filter.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just getting the data JSON.
Yeah, yes. So when I start on the details page, anytime I navigate to the next page, it has to get the transfer state for that next page. So it just goes and gets the data.json ahead of the navigation. But that
can you show that data.json? Is that all the donuts, or is that just the one?
Yeah, it's all the donuts.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
So the data.json for this route, but hold on. If I go into here, it's gonna get the data.json for that route. And that one is just that donut.
That's just the one donut.
Yeah, that's just the one donut. Yeah. So it's putting all your permutations that you requested during the build out there as data.json files. So
interesting.
So yeah. And it's doing that for speed. It's doing that for optimization. So it's actually really, really cool.
Well, you're not exposing your APIs this way
at all.
You're only hitting the APIs in the build step. That's cool.
And it's fetching the data, but it's not doing it from port 3000 anymore. And port 3000 was my backend. Now it's doing it from 1668, which is technically that would be my app on the CDN running. So yeah.
Well, dude, here's a weird philosophical question. Like, if this is all we're doing, like, does it make sense to make the API anymore? Like, would you maybe just, and this is maybe a JamStack question, like, if you're really embracing this, would you be looking to figure out some other solution, like just let source control maybe manage more of your content? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are, is they're using source control for it. It's tough because, like, imagine a company that like really likes their donuts, and they want people besides developers to be able to modify the content of the website.
Yeah.
So they don't want to have all their content housed in a Git, a source control tool, because then they got to teach the product manager, like all the designers or the business side, the marketing side, hey, you guys all have to go learn how to use Git, and that's not going to ever work. So CMSs still make a lot of sense in this world.
That
we're talking about. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm thinking normally the API is going to go to like a database or something. I imagine it's just as hard to work with one of those. But I guess if you're using like a nice packaged CMS solution to just do all that stuff for you, that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
So there's a ton of features inside Skully that we could keep going and doing.
We're 15 minutes over already. I mean, I can keep going if you can, Aaron, but I want to respect your time if you want to wrap this up.
I mean, I can add features people have questions about. I can answer questions. I can talk about a couple of the new features we're adding, but I'm not sure what you want to learn, Zach, or what the people.
I want to learn about the new features, dude. What are the new features coming out?
So, anyone who's done a blog with Jekyll, they may have used one of the features called future dating. Like if you have your publish date, if you set publish to true, you would imagine that Jekyll would immediately publish that blog on the next time you did a build. But they have this it ends up being like a ternary state where you can say publish true, but the published date is in 1 week. And Jekyll will say, oh, Zach said it's published, but the published date's in the future, so I'm still not going to publish it. So I'm safe at build time. It's still not going to put that. It's not going to include that blog in the build because I did it. I marked it as in the Markdown file. I said it's still technically unpublished because the published date hasn't happened yet. So we just added. We've always had published true or false, but we haven't had support for published date. But now we added published date support. So when you put a published date that's in the future, you can then switch the publish to true, but it won't actually publish it as part of your build until that published date is there.
So you're scheduling it pretty much.
So effectively, you can schedule out a whole series of blogs and have like a nightly GitHub action that goes ahead, or Netlify action, or however you want to configure your build. You can have something that happens and incrementally releases these over time. So yeah, that's exactly what it's for.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's one new feature. I want you to imagine a poorly architected website.
Okay.
Zach, I know you're not capable of it.
I am, man.
Me and you have never worked on a project together where you would consider any of the stuff we worked on together as poorly architected, right? That's certainly a true statement, what I'm saying, right? Anyway, so what was I saying? I just lied. I forget things when I lie.
Something about
bad architecture.
Bad architecture.
Oh yeah. So you go to pre-render that site, and imagine every single page load has to call the backend like 300 times. It has to make like 300 API calls just to render the thing. So I want you to imagine that puppeteer lifecycle where it's like, hey, we're gonna pre-render against your QA environment. And so Scully's like, dude, we're going to pre-render 1,000 pages as fast as we can, which means your QA environment's about to die because it's going to just sit there and DDoS. Every single Puppeteer instance is making hundreds of calls. So some people are finding it not difficult as part of their Scully build to really, really affect their staging and production environments because it's just rendering it as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And some of those customers do multiple builds a day, which makes total sense, against those environments. And so multiple times a day, they're threatening the stability of those environments.
So they're just thrashing their servers, you're saying? They're thrashing their builds. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like, what if your Scully build though? What if it cached the data between builds for a period of 24 hours or 48? So we're currently building it's called the Skully Cloud, where your cache will kind of go in between your builds, so that all of those API calls from like all the different machines kind of go to the same place, and we can serve those to you immediately. Like, so, and I know you're laughing. Like, I know most of the people watching this are like, God damn it. But yeah, like it's too much of the same calls, and they're killing their prod servers. And so if you could cache that, you don't have to modify your Angular environment at all. Like, your Angular app can still just be your Angular app. It doesn't even have to know it's being served cache data, because we're just gonna intercept those calls through the Puppeteer proxy and say, hey, if the page asks for this, give it this. If the page asks for this, give it that. And so we're gonna make it to where the stuff gets cached, and it's gonna be really, really cool. I'm not gonna lie. So we're excited.
Yeah. So what about Skully Cloud? Skully Cloud's a thing, right?
Skully Cloud, yeah. I mean, that's what it's going to be.
Nice.
So we'll probably have a community edition that's free for everybody who's doing their own builds on their small projects and stuff.
Yeah.
But it will be mostly, it will exist because these big customers that are afford to make the most money, they also are the ones risking the most by pointing Skully at their prod server and saying, hey, just go build as fast. Have at it. Render all the pages as fast as you bloody can, and potentially DDoS our production environment. So
So you're saying DDoS our servers, we can take it.
Well, we're saying, hey, we'll download the cache of the calls, and when it makes it, we'll just serve it. We'll just intercept those through the Puppeteer config, and we'll give it to it as fast as it wants it, but faster than it would have gotten it, and without actually going to production. So, and then we'll allow you to schedule, hey, once a night, go refresh all these cache calls, and then it will go refresh. It will go make all the calls and do the potential DDoS. It will slowly do that, maybe once or twice a day. So,
yeah, on-prem version of NX Cloud. Yeah, so we've launched that now. I think we're getting a lot of. I think most of our stuff is happening through on-prem versions, just because we're so enterprise focused. I imagine you'll probably need to go down a similar road with a lot of these higher profile customers too.
Yeah, we'll build it on-prem first, and then
and then open up to the public cloud.
Well, once it exists, we'll open up the public cloud so that then the on-prem is an upgrade. We don't want the cloud to be the upgrade. We want the cloud to be the default, and then you want on-prem too? Okay, you pay for that. So yeah.
Gotcha.
A lot of these SaaS companies, that's how the on-prem works. Our stuff is cloud-based, but you want on-prem, it's extra fee. So that's exactly where we're focused as well, is to just add security to your production environment by caching those calls. But if you really, really want to own it and have the cache on site, that's fine. I don't think a lot of people will care, because the data we're caching is just publicly available data. Like, we're not caching anything that wouldn't be the same for all users, right? So it may be a lot less secure than like the NX Cloud. The NX Cloud is very secure. This Skully Cloud should be significantly less. Like, people should be less scared about using this cloud. But you never know, right?
Yeah. Well, I think probably you shouldn't be pre-rendering anyways, right? Or anything user specific. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of it's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be learning about JamStack with you. This is interesting. So it's weird. It's weird. They're moving away from the acronyms. Like, JamStack starts out with JavaScript, APIs, and markup, right? But it's like, that's so misleading. I don't know. I heard that and I'm like, okay, I get JamStack. You're just using cloud APIs. You're like using Google Firestore or stuff like that, instead of like running your own server, your own databases.
Well, I mean,
that's not really it.
Imagine back in the day when they're like, if they're like, imagine if like the piano was like an acronym that stood for box of wood, bunch of strings, and some keys, right? Like, and people were like, piano. It stands for B, box of wood. Yes, a bunch of keys, and people, and like,
yeah.
So every time you tried to describe a piano, people were like, "Oh yeah, okay, the piano. It's a box of wood. It's got strings, and then they're like, no, the piano's ubiquitous now. Everyone knows what it is. Like it's
get with piano 2.0.
Stop describing it as like it's inanimate pieces. Just it's a piano. And so JamStack's kind of become that. Like stop describing it as its origin, like where it was pioneered from, because now it's ubiquitous. It has a meaning on its own. So yeah. Anyway, they don't. For anyone listening, it used to be JamStack, capital JAM. But now it's just capital J at the front. There's you don't
capital A, no capital M.
No capital A, capital M.
There you go.
That's right. Right.
I learned stuff today. I still would be hard pressed to give like an official definition what exactly it is. I'm like, you pre-render, you use CDNs, you don't use APIs actually where you can, like favoring CDNs over that or CMS stuff over that. I'd be hard pressed to say like this is the dictionary definition still. Do you have one for us, Aaron, or is that putting you on the spot too much?
Of the JamStack?
Yeah. What's the dictionary definition?
It's pre-rendered, heavily cached, delivered through the CDN. Like I tried to focus on the three at the beginning. Yeah. Pre-rendered, heavily cached, centralized through a CDN. Like that's it's hard to get shorter than that. I'm sure that the guys at Netlify could
call
do
it the PHC stack. Pre-rendered, heavily
cached. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
CDN, that's the last one. Anyways, sweet, man. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on stream. Been a great guest. It's awesome seeing Skully in action. Thank you so much for doing the demo and giving the people the donuts they crave.
If anyone's ever dorking around with it and wants help, we have office hours every Tuesday where the core team just kind of sits around. We do a demo once a week at the beginning of office hours, and then we're there to just answer questions. So feel free to show up on our Twitter and join us for our office hours.
Awesome. And I got everything I needed, I feel like, from Skully. Just going to Skully.io. Y'all got some good docs set up there. So well done.
Thanks, bro.
Well done.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for doing IZS.
Yeah. Is it for doing ZLS?
ZLS. What the fuck? Thanks for doing ZLS.
There you go. Well, yeah, man. So thanks for showing up. Tomorrow we got Wes. We're going to be trying some Hello World app in Vue. We're going to try to get it to our NX mono repo, I think. So if anyone's interested in that, make sure you show up. Should be fun. Aaron, we got to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, man.
It'd be great to talk about anything. We could talk about, I don't know, what it's like owning HeroDevs and doing that, or doing the conferences, or you've got the Angular show now too. You got to plug that. Your latest episode, I just saw it. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm super interested in this state management episode.
Yeah, it was a 6-parter.
6-parter?
Yes, you got a 6-part episode.
We was 4-part, so now you got.
Yeah, we've never seen a podcast do multi-part shows. Mm-hmm. So it was like I was like, hey, let's do multi-part shows because they're a lot of fun. I never seen tech podcasts do them, so I was like, hey, let's bring this in Angular. Testing was 4, but state management's obviously at least 6, right? State
management is like a black hole, man.
Yeah, well, especially if you've never done it. If you've been done it for a while, it's not so much. But like if let's say you've been doing NGRX for a while, maybe like Akita is a bit of a black hole, but even that would be simple at that point.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done state management, oh my gosh, it's Greek.
I'm just saying, like the nature of state in general is like if you don't. Like you've got state, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. It's just like sometimes you lose it. Sometimes it gets so complex that you like completely lose control over it. So that's my black hole comment. And then the state management systems are like ways of corralling that black hole into something that resembles order. So learning them is tricky. I'm still trying to wrap my head around component store that NGRX just came out with.
Yeah.
I'm so used to the store and that pattern. It's just like, it's hard for me to learn a new trick, I guess. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to your episode. Let's get signed off before we go over 30 minutes over. But thanks, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow on ZLS.
Peace.